Thank you. Can you hear me? Perfect. All right. So I'm very honored to be here. Thank you for having me here. I'd like to start with telling you that all of the pictures in my PowerPoint are our students, so you get a feel for what they do. It's important for us to share with you our context because our program is grounded in where we are. And so New Mexico State University is a Hispanic-serving institution, which means that the majority of our students are Latina and Latino. In addition, we have about 10% Native American students. It's primarily rural. Las Cruces, where New Mexico State is housed, is in the border, about 40 miles from the border of Mexico. But all of New Mexico is very rural, and our students come from all over New Mexico and Texas, primarily. It's also important to understand that many of our students have worked in the field in some capacity prior to coming to get an advanced degree. We have people who ran their own child care center. We have students who are educational assistants, and this is pretty typical of our field. Many of our students also are first-generation college attendees, and most plan on staying in New Mexico when they're done. They want to serve the communities where they were raised. So we prepare students to work in New Mexico, in which, unfortunately, New Mexico is the 50th in the nation in child well-being. And so that's an important part of what we think about when we think about the children we're serving. 35% of our families live within incomes below the 185% federal poverty level. And it's not just that, which is dreadful, but it's also we have high rates of concentrated poverty. And that means for children, there's probably additional stress and emotional problems due to that concentrated poverty. We also have an issue with quality child care programs. We have a quality rating system that we've been working hard to implement, but right now, high-quality child care make up about 4% of our child care centers. And lastly, we have a huge achievement gap. As you can see, 79% of our fourth graders do not read at grade level. This is where our students will be working when they're done. There we go. So a little bit about our coursework. The program offers a range of coursework encompassing infants, toddlers, preschoolers, and primary-age children. We focus on early childhood education through a theoretical orientation which places the field within broad social and political and cultural contexts. So our coursework really asks our students to think deeply about what it means to work in early care and education. So some of our themes, I actually asked our students what are some of the themes of our program, and they talked about bilingual and multicultural education, intentional practices and reflective teaching, understanding that children are indeed the protagonists of their own learning, and really the importance of supporting our families. We also have an inclusive teacher's license, so our students take about 16 to 19 credit hours in special education, and so they really need to understand how to address the diverse abilities within inclusive settings. But overall, we really do try to help our students realize that they have to be an advocate for themselves, for the families and the children they serve. Part of what makes us successful is that we have a lab school, and we really couldn't do it without it. We couldn't prepare our students without a lab school. Part of the reason is, again, we're very rural, and many of our colleagues who serve in a more rural area have really no place to put their students, so I feel very blessed that we've built this collaborative. We call it the Children's Village, and it's actually a collaborative of 5 different funding sources all on campus. One is La Clínica de Familia, which is an infant-toddler program through a medical group. So our students can practice there. We have the Doniana Head Start, which NMSU is the grantee, but we have one of our classrooms is there. We have Las Cruces Public Schools, that's our school district, and they have what they call the Kids program. They have 2 classrooms there. When I say they have them there, that means they're paying for the teachers in the programs, which is a great benefit for us. And those children are actually identified as having a disability or a delay. Then we have part-time pre-K. In New Mexico, the pre-K money that comes to us is so that the students will have free part-time care, the children, I should say, because they're going to be going into a low-performing school. And that means almost 100% of our schools. And then we have a child care program on sliding scale. So it's a wonderful lab school setting, and the students get quite a variety. And I should tell you that these programs are actually integrated. So the Las Cruces Public School children who are identified as developmentally delayed are integrated with the children from Head Start. And so you would walk in and you might not know who's who, and that's our goal. But lastly, because in New Mexico, the teacher's license at the BA level is for infants, toddlers, preschoolers through third grade, we had to find a partner in the public schools. And so we have found a partner. This is our second year, and it's a K through third school. It's a K through fifth school, but we work with the K through third grade teachers, and we literally teach our courses. They've given us a classroom. Faculty go there, and we teach our classes there at the school, and the students are placed in a K through third grade classroom. So I feel very blessed to have built this lab school collaborative. There we are. But it would be very important for me to tell you how we've done all this, because we haven't done it by ourselves. New Mexico has really worked hard to build some infrastructure. In fact, there's people here that have helped us. And part of how that happened is we have something called the New Mexico Early Childhood Higher Education Task Force. This group has been meeting since 1992. I joined in 94 when I came to New Mexico. And it's where 2-year and 4-year, and I have to put sort of the quotes around that because many of the 2-year students don't finish in 2 years, and many of the 4-year students do not finish in 4 years. And these faculty representatives, as well as stakeholders, and we have representatives on this group from the Public Education Department, from Children, Youth, and Families Department, from New Mexico Association for the Education of Young Children, even ELAC, which is our Early Learning Advisory Council, which was put together once New Mexico received Race to the Top money. So we meet about 8 times a year, and we've been doing this for about 20 years. And we talk about our shared responsibility of preparing students. And it hasn't always been easy, but we do have some wonderful outcomes from doing this, one of which is we have statutory responsibility for building this professional development system. So we take it pretty seriously. Some people have asked, well, what makes you all drive and meet together once a month? And we drive, by the way. And part of it is that other than the 2 largest institutions, UNM and mine, NMSU, really, the people who serve community colleges as faculty are by themselves many times. And so meeting together is very important for them, and they've stated that. So one of our biggest goals, and that's why we used to be called the Articulation Task Force, is we wanted to help our students access higher ed seamlessly. And so we have developed an articulation model where the students who enter into even before going to community college, but they can go to the community college, they can take an AA degree in early childhood education and stop, but if they want to continue, they lose no credits, and they only have really a few more courses in early childhood education before they can do student teaching. I'll tell you how we did that. Now, this is a lot of verbiage, but I wanted to give you a feel, and actually the link down below is the document where this was pulled. These are our common core competencies, and that's the first thing we had to do. The competencies came from the BA level teacher license, and they've been sort of pulled down. And what is it that we would want at the entry level? In New Mexico, entry level is anybody who's working with young children. So it could be a family child care provider. It could be someone in a home visiting setting. And there's a 45-hour contact hour course that everyone is now required to take if you're working with children and families. So these are the 2 sort of basic introduction indicators of competency from the larger competency, which comes from our health, safety, and nutrition area. And then at the associate level, we're hoping the students can indicate the next level. There's 2 more, and then building on that, the bachelor's level students have 2 more indicators of that meeting that competency. And so the link at the bottom shows you all of the Common Core competencies and how we have tried to make it possible to have this seamless program. One of the things that we've done more recently is trying to figure out how to better meet the needs as early care and education has moved. And so what we've currently done is we've used to have 1 teacher license, birth through 3rd grade. And we heard from our stakeholders, particularly home visitors and infant toddler programs, that we need to do perhaps a stronger, have a stronger program with those specific competencies. So we now have 4 pathways in New Mexico, but I must tell you, the institutions of higher ed haven't implemented all of these yet because we're at the beginning stages. One will be teacher birth through age 4. So we have a focus on the little ones. Also, that pathway, you don't have to have a teacher's license. You can get a degree. We decided to do that out of lots of conversation because some of our students are unable to pass the last test to become a teacher and get a teacher's license. And we, believe me, a lot of conversation. And what's particularly salient here is many of our students who come from the community they serve, speak the language, they want to return home, weren't passing the test. And so we wanted to do something because we could tell you they were great with kids. They just weren't good test takers and probably never were. And so we have made this pathway so a student doesn't have to pass the test to become a teacher. Then we have teacher pre-K through grade 3. That's a teacher's license. Now we have family, infant, toddler studies, and we're really serving the needs through the Department of Health, developmental specialists, and home visitors. And we have early childhood program administration. These are at the goal is to have these at the AA level and the BA level. Now, part of what we worked on for so long is what we call the Universal Catalog of Courses, and you also have the link there. And what that tells us is whether you're working, teaching a course in Farmington on the Navajo Nation, or whether you're down in Albuquerque or in Las Cruces, we have a syllabus template which tells you what competencies should be in that course, that tells you, recommends certain assignments to move towards competency. There even are recommendations of textbooks, though it doesn't seem right because, so many new ones come out so quickly. But we have revised that university catalog of courses 3 times now since I've been here. And those are our competency areas. And I wanted to show them to you because I wanted for you to understand that because we're an accredited program and the state of New Mexico has a review process in place for all of the 4-year institutions, the competencies that we meet, or the students meet, are actually from our professional organizations, so NAEYC or Council for Exceptional Children. So we feel like that our programs are based on the science of child development, but it's coupled with a real deep understanding of the cultural context of the children and the families that they'll be serving. Let's see. So one of the questions that was asked of me is to think about our top needs to improve our workforce preparation, and they said 2 to 3. I ended up with 9, so you're getting 4. I hope that's okay. The first one is increase faculty with advanced degrees in early childhood education. Right now, I will tell you that the students that transfer from some of our community colleges, I've been looking at data for about 3 years and comparing those that stay on a main campus for their 4 years and those that transfer from a community college. And there's a 20% higher fail rate of the final test. And so we have to figure out a way to help and support our community college faculty to know the deep science and the work of early childhood education. Many have elementary degrees, and this might be a problem elsewhere. They don't have early childhood degrees. So we have to produce our own. We really have to produce people who want to stay in New Mexico and serve New Mexico and become faculty members. Next, we have create and implement an early childhood bilingual bicultural endorsement. Right now, we have a bilingual endorsement that only is attached to elementary, and we really need one for early childhood, which makes sense, right? That's where they're getting lots of language. We need more lab schools, and lastly, I really want to encourage our teachers to not go into K through 3. That's where many go, that's where the money is, it's a common problem, and in New Mexico, we really do need pre-K teachers, and we really do need home visiting and fit teachers. So there you go. I actually ended early. Thank you, everyone.